Today's episode is sponsored by Sandals Resorts and Brightco Insurance. What's up, Chillas? Something we talk about a lot on here is content creators, but we have yet to talk to one. But today we have the brilliant Emily Cline, who is the founder of Wedding Day Content Creator, who is killing the game right now, luxury weddings in New York. She's been a guest on our Friends, the Vendor Table podcast, featured on The Knots, New York Post, and more. Emily, so stoked to have you on Bridechilla today.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been looking forward to this since we, discussed me coming on. You guys are so awesome. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, let's get started with just how you decided to get your whole company started and get into the wedding content game.
Yeah, so I got married at the end of 2021, and I've been a content creator for 15 years. So it was really natural for me on my wedding day to kind of want to pull my phone out and, capture the moments that I knew that my photographer and my videographer weren't getting. And it kind of just hit me on my wedding day that all of these beautiful moments were happening. And I wish that I could just bottle up everything that was going on, everything that people were saying. I had, a big realization when I was getting my makeup done. My eyes were shut. I could hear things that were going on, but I couldn't see things that were happening. And so I thought to myself, it would be really great if someone was just on iPhone duty, just, walking around, capturing these cute little in-between things. Like my mom and grandma were having this really silly little conversation in the corner, but unfortunately I couldn't see it because I was getting my eyeshadow done. And so I got married and had that whole experience. And about a year later, in 2022, I saw someone say that they TikToked a wedding and it ended up in People magazine. And I thought to myself, this is kind of the idea that I had on my wedding day. And I think this should be a thing. And I looked up wedding content creation. And at the time, I had a digital marketing agency. So, of course, I went in for the whole SEO factor when I was looking for a name for this business. And I saw that Wedding Day Content Creator hadn't been used yet because there was only a couple wedding content creators in the world at that time. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be Wedding Day Content Creator. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I think I just struck gold. And it was perfect because I had the wedding blues and this kind of brought me back to the whole wedding world. I really loved my entire experience of my wedding. I pretty much planned the whole thing. I wish I could have continued dress shopping for the rest of my life. I just loved all aspects of it. So it's just, starting this company really kind of fell into my lap, but it also is the perfect job for me. So
yeah, it sounds like it. And I love your enthusiasm and your passion behind it. You can really tell that you love what you do. And kudos on the name choice because that is gold and that is a brilliant business move. But before we get back to business, because I am a sucker for a love story, I read on your website that you were married to your high school sweetheart. Is that true?
Yes.
So tell us about the proposal story, because I love proposal stories.
Okay, so it's kind of crazy because we're technically a pandemic couple. So we decided to go ring shopping on Valentine's Day in 2020. We had been discussing getting married for a while because at that point we had been together, I think almost 7 years. So we were ready for it. And my husband took me on a date where we kind of designed my dream engagement ring. And it was so sweet and it was so special. But being February 2020 is a very important detail in the story.
Yes.
So my ring was literally ready to be picked up the day that New York City shut down for the pandemic. And I didn't know this, but my husband had been planning a trip for us in May of 2020, and he was going to propose on the trip. So unfortunately, we didn't get to go on that trip. But he had all these other plans in mind. This poor guy had to replan our proposal like 7 different times.
Oh,
And he was waiting because he knew I'd want my hair highlighted. So he was like, waiting for me to get the highlights. And then he had this one plan and he's like, do you want to go to the Hamptons for 4th of July? And I was like, why would we go to the Hamptons right now? Like, there's nothing to do. Everything is closed. That would be such a waste of money. And he just was trying to propose, And then in August, he said, do you want to go to Central Park and have a picnic? And we used to live really close to Central Park, so we used to go all the time for little picnics. And I was like, sure. And I put on some leggings and my best t-shirt and my sneakers. And he was all dressed up and he looked at me and he's like, I thought you could take some nice LinkedIn pictures for my LinkedIn profile. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. And he's like, do you mind changing? Maybe I'll get some pictures for you for your Instagram or something.
So smart.
And I'm like, okay, I think something's happening. So,
oh, you did suspect maybe at that point?
I was like, could this be? I don't know. And sure enough, like I'm a chatterbox and my husband is very quiet. So the second we got to Central Park and he started to be really chatty, we like got there and he started telling me all of these historical facts about Central Park. And I'm like, who are you? Why are you talking so much? Like, what is happening? And he brought me to this really beautiful spot. And there's a hidden photographer there. And he popped the question. And I was just in such shock. And I was so excited. And it was so cute because I asked my couples this. I'm like, how was your proposal? And a lot of them say the same thing that happened with my husband. He got down on one knee and he was like, I'm blanking, but I love you. And, and it's like, obviously such a big moment. And then like the words came to him and,
yeah,
I said yes.
I love it. So one of the questions I was going to ask you actually based off of this, you've already answered. And that was about your wedding being inspired with your job. And clearly it did. Uh-huh. Your actual wedding day inspired everything. So now do you go into it with a lens with every wedding based off of your experience with your wedding day and wishing you had that? Do you feel more like this innate need to get these certain particular moments with your couples?
I do, just because I knew exactly what I wanted on my wedding day. And I'm such a memory hoarder. And I feel like that's really important when it comes to this job. Yeah, because like I don't, even if maybe some of my couples aren't as crazy with hoarding memories as I am, at least they have everything from start to finish when I'm there. And I try to find the big moments, the small moments, and everything in between, just so they have that, that bottle of memories that I feel like I didn't really get to have.
Is there a certain moment you always try to get with every couple? Like it's kind of like your staple or your go-to because you just love it so much or it will be important in the long run for the couple?
I like to capture the quiet moments that the couple gets during the reception where it's like they finally sit down at their table and they can take a deep breath and kind of just be present in the moment. They're looking around their reception. They're seeing all of their friends and family. Maybe people have already started on the dance floor. Maybe they're watching people cheers, and seeing friends and family that, maybe they haven't seen each other in a long time and just seeing the whole room light up with love. Getting their reaction to that is like one of my favorite things.
I love that. And I love that you pointed out other family members getting to catch up and see each other because I've talked about on the show before, like obviously content creators were not a thing in 2019 when I got married to my ex-husband. But like I had wished the photographer had captured all these like small moments at the reception and even got any like table shots. They didn't. They got some of the key moments like first dances and cake. And then other than that, it was just like a bunch of the same a handful of us on the dance floor. And for 2 shooters, I would have thought that there had been more content. But yeah, this is why I think your role has become so important now in the industry. It's so new. It's such a baby role, right? But it's grown so fast to be one of the most important vendors, in my personal opinion. But I'm also a big photography and videography person. I mean, I am. Because I, yes, like you, like, I like how you said memory hoarder. I just say I'm a sentimental fool and I just want to keep everything but something you said on another interview you did, it may have been Vendor Table, but you said that couples are now actually booking you before they are video and photography. Is that true?
It's true. And, I did that interview, I think now like a year or two ago, and it's still the same. Like I'll get on the phone with couples and they're asking me for recommendations on who to hire for their photo video team, who to hire for their planner. And it is an absolute honor to be in that position, to be recommending. But I think why that's happening is because I have been able to shoot so many weddings in a small amount of time because my turnaround time is so quick. For photo and video, they might only be able to take on, 30 to 50 weddings a year max because, they're having to sort through, tens of thousands of photos and, lots of video clips and put that into a beautiful film. And like, it takes so much longer. But for me, I'm really, kind of like one and done and can kind of crank it out pretty quick, which allows me to shoot 100+ events a year. So I think, couples see that and they're like, okay, she's really experienced. She knows what she's doing. She might have done what my photographer has done in 10 years,
Right.
In 3. So they trust me with a lot. And it's a big, big, big honor to be in that position.
So I know in the position your career really got started with this, and you're one of the first, really, right? Like you really are a leader in this field, and
it's crazy.
Not
crazy
every vendor was happy about you though, because we would hear a lot of rumblings, especially in particular photo and video. Not to call them out, but other vendors weren't as. I mean, there were some grouchy ones, usually the older ones, but they felt like you might be stepping on their toes. And there was some conflict at first, right?
There was. I mean, I feel like it's died down a little bit now, but like the 4th wedding I shot, I had such an issue with the photographer all day. And it really disrupted the entire experience that they were trying to give to their clients because they were in such a bad mood and more focused on me than doing their job, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah, that says more about them than you, obviously, right?
Crazy.
But now I think a lot have come around. Do you find yourself teaming up with more companies, more vendors?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, over time, I think in the beginning, a lot of people were like, oh, is this really a thing? Is this just a trend? Or, are they going to be here today and gone tomorrow? And now that we've had lasting power, we're staying, pretty much every couple is asking for it at this point. I feel like we are seen as, a team member of the day instead of, a competition or, taking away from some part of the day. And it's like, we all have our own purpose. And so it almost feels like a relay race where everybody's just passing the baton throughout the day. They're like, okay, step in, get your shot. You get your shot. You get your shot, So that's been a really nice change of pace. And I also think too, it got to a point where I wanted to see the change. And so I feel like when you want to see that change, you have to kind of make it. And I noticed that photographers and videographers weren't walking into the wedding day and telling me, if I'm in your way, let me know. I'll stand behind you. Like they weren't cowering down to me. So I stopped doing that and, just shook the hand, hi, I'm Emily. I'm the content creator. Can I, support you in any way? Let me know if you need anything, but I'm not, apologizing or excusing myself for being the content creator. So
right. You were
just
hired.
As important. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helped change things a little bit, or at least the vibe when I walk into the weddings that I'm shooting.
No, that's interesting. A lot of vendors I've spoken to, both personally and even on this show, they've said before that they love having a content creator on because they've gained a collaboration. And from a vendor perspective, they never have photos of themselves at work to put on their website and that,
Yeah.
unless they like hired someone to stage something, right? Or if a
Right.
photographer happened to capture them fixing these centerpieces or whatever, right? But content creators have really helped them with giving them oftentimes free content, like, hey, I got the shot of you, like you can have it and just like credit me, like whatever. And it's become so much more of a collaboration as it's starting to grow and develop, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, me too. I love taking behind the scenes content of everybody that I'm working with. I think it's so much fun. Everybody loves it and everybody gets exposure out of it, which is great. It's great for them, but it's also great for me too, you know? So I am all for the collaboration aspect and I'm so happy that things have come around to that instead of it being so competitive.
Yeah. Okay, so our couples want to hire a content creator. What's that process like? What should they be looking for? What red flags should they be looking out for? How do we go about this process?
So I think it's really important when you are looking to book a content creator for your wedding that they have some sort of a portfolio. If they're newer, then, you know, if there's any content creators listening to this and you're looking to build your portfolio, you can always, you know, ask planners, photographers, videographers, hair and makeup artists, you know, any other vendors if you could come in and shoot some content for them and just kind of start to build that portfolio just a little bit. I think that's a great way to get started. So couples, make sure that your content creator is being proactive and building their portfolio. But I think that's really important to have. I think it's important to chat with them before you make a decision, whether that is meeting them in person or jumping on a phone call or a Zoom call or something like that, and chat through what your expectations are for the day. Because I feel like content creators are kind of getting into the same area of, you know, photo and video where we're starting to develop our own unique styles and we have our own unique offerings. For example, I have a friend who's a wedding content creator and she shoots a lot on Super 8 and her G7X. And she's really trying to put together more of a nostalgic feel for content versus, you know, people who are just primarily using iPhone. So it's really important to understand the deliverables that you are getting and making sure that they have a good portfolio and just like everything is clear from the beginning. I love a good contract. I love when everything
Right.
is laid out very clearly and a contract that's fair to both the wedding content creator and the client. So I would say those are big things to look out for when you're booking a wedding content creator.
Is there any chance that like you check out their Instagram page and you think you're hiring someone that's going to be awesome, but the looks are deceiving? Are there a lot of, I don't want to say fake Instagram, like fake content creators out there, but is there anything that to look out for with that you can spot? Like that Instagram might look good, but it's overly curated to be deceitful.
Yeah. So sometimes, you know, I've noticed that there's some wedding content creators who do a lot of styled shoots. And which is great. I mean, it's great to be able to collaborate and show off your work that way, but that might not be the realistic look of what a wedding day, you know, kind of turns out to be because you have control of so much more. Obviously, you know, the couple that you're shooting is usually, you know, a model couple. They're relaxed, like real life isn't really happening behind the scenes. There's not any drama, you know, a bridesmaid didn't show up drunk, you know, like it's just it's so I would make sure that you know, are kind of checking out actual portfolio samples. So I have a couple, I deliver everything via Dropbox. So I will send Dropbox folders to people so they can see like what an actual real wedding day looks like, because sometimes the things that you see on Instagram are very much the highlights. So in terms of, you know, looking for a portfolio too, I would ask to see like a wedding day in Dropbox, look through all the raw files, make sure you like everything.
Great tip.
Yeah. So, and, you know, there's some things that can't be controlled all of the time, such as, you know, lighting and, you know, it really just depends on your venue. So also, I guess, you know, too, it's good to keep in mind wedding content creators who worked at your venue before.
Oh, yeah. That's another great tip. We talk about that a lot with like, especially photo and video, because when you're dealing with lighting, have they worked in that space before to know if like this warehouse, you know, how the lighting's going to be in this kind of space versus like outdoor garden, and you don't know how the sunlight's going to be or if a cloudy day, and how do they work with all that?
Exactly. It's so important. And, you know, we're really limited with our iPhones and lighting. I mean, there's little tricks and things that you can do and little lights that you can bring. But, you know, like also too, like some photographers and videographers are very generous with their lighting and they'll set it up for us and then it looks really amazing. And then there's times where we're working with a little bit of darker lighting, and with the iPhone, it can make it a little bit pixelated looking. So it's important to see it all.
That's also why we're hiring you, right? We hire photo and video for a specific reason and a specific vibe and look. Content creators, you're the raw, you're the behind the scenes, you're the,
True.
You know, it's not about perfection per se. Is that right?
Yes, correct. But with the algorithms and all of that stuff, you know, it depends on what your client is looking for. I have some that are like, okay, Emily, make me a viral video. And I'm like, okay, these are the components, and having good lighting is one of those things. So yes and no. Some things are, well, I would say 99% of things are all raw. But if there's anything where the client is like, I'm really looking for this specific moment to kind of go viral, and I'm like, okay, this is the formula that we need to follow and the recipe that we need to do. So we do it.
Okay. So once we book you, what are the next steps? Because every vendor is going to be different. How does a content creator work, especially comparing it to like a photo and video?
So once I am booked, this is just me personally, I give all of my clients my phone number and I tell them, I'm like, listen, throughout this year, I want you to send me all of your inspo. I want you to tell me your family drama. I want to hear it. I want to give you advice. If you want to send me pictures of your dress so we can really start planning everything. But I want them to feel so comfortable with me that it feels like I am an extension of their best friend group. I want to be able to show up on the day and us not feel like strangers, because I'm spending such close time with my couples on the best day of their life. I want it to just feel really seamless. I want them to be able to shoot me a look and like, I know what's going on and they don't even have to tell me. Like, I want that kind of relationship with my couples. So throughout the year, I try to build that with them as best as I can. And then about 2 weeks out from the wedding, we chat and we go through their timeline. We go through shot lists. We go through any content wishes that they have. If they're doing any surprises or gifts or things like that. I also want to know who gets the most emotional, because I want to be able to get that.
I
and
love
know and
that.
have eyes on it. Yep. And so all of that is what kind of, you know, allows me to prepare best for their wedding day. So, and then day of, I show up with all of my equipment. I'm ready to go. I'm usually there for about 12 hours. So water, snacks, good shoes.
So from getting ready to the end of the dance floor.
Yep. I'm covering it all. And sometimes even the night before, too.
Oh, really? Like rehearsal?
Yes. I started doing a package because this past year, I noticed that couples would get to their rehearsal dinner and be like, oh my gosh, I'm having all these speeches and I didn't book video. Or sometimes, they didn't even book a photographer. And I'm like, don't worry, I'm your girl. You can call me for that and I'll come and record all those speeches and, get photos, videos, whatever they need.
That's awesome.
Then it allows me to meet friends and family and, the couple the night before. And then everybody's so much more relaxed day of.
That is a good warm up for that. Imagine a wedding day where each detail is already taken care of, allowing you to savor every moment. At Sandals, your dream wedding can finally become a reality. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, Sandals offers customizable packages for every size and style. Plus, everything is included. Your accommodations, gourmet dining, premium drinks, and all your wedding services. You get a dedicated wedding planner and an on-site team to manage everything from ceremony to reception. And here's a really sweet deal. Stay 7 nights or longer in a club or butler level room, and you'll receive their sweetheart wedding package, completely on them. That means your ceremony, decor, and even a delicious 2-tier wedding cake. For those of you who really want to be sure, you can even test drive your wedding experience before you book it. Stop dreaming and start planning. Head over to sandals.com today or call 1-877-SANDALS to create your unforgettable wedding experience. Something with staying till the end of the night, I've said this on the show before, like I think not enough photo and video, and I'm not sure if content creators all stay till the end, but they don't stay till the end. And I get it, couples can't always afford that extra hour or whatever. But I think the end of the night is like usually the most baller. Like it's usually the most fun. Everyone's like they're drunkest, they're at their highest of dancing. It's that finale song, like, you know, whether it be, I don't know, like a Sweet Caroline or Mr. Brightside, whatever the last song is, you know.
Yes.
And now couples are starting to do like Last Dance, where it's just them on the dance floor and people are watching them, you know, finale slow dance. But it's not getting captured because unfortunately, like you can only pay people for a certain amount of time. And I get it completely, but I think it's worth investing in. And it's cool that you're doing that as a content creator.
I do too. I'm like, it's one day. It is the best day. And things happen. Like some people will be like, oh, I really don't need you while I'm getting ready. Oh, I don't really need you at the end of the night. And I'm like, but you might.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can always add more time on if things are good, but I can't give you the time, you know, that you missed earlier in the day too. And I think you just don't know until you go through the day, and you don't want to have any regrets. So, and with a content creator, I think it's great because if you can't afford to keep photo and video for that long, content tends to be a little cheaper than photo and video. And so, you know, maybe you don't have these amazing professional shots, but you have something. And couples will keep me till the end a lot. And I'm so happy when they do, because they do have that final dance. The energy is really high. You know, everyone is super silly and drunk at that point, and it's funny. So, and it's, you know, it's some videos that a lot of couples are like, this is hilarious. I'm so glad we have this. And I'm like, I'm glad I was able to give it to you because it was awesome when your uncle did that split on the middle of the dance floor. Like,
yes. Yeah, and those are the moments, right? Like those are the ones you're going to talk about the next day, hungover at brunch, and like remember forever.
It's like, did
right?
anybody get that? And it's like, Emily got it.
No one's going to remember what color your menus were or what the place cards looked like unless you made it super artistic and rad or edible. But they will remember your uncle splitting his pants on the dance floor. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
So the day is done. How long typically is a turnaround time with content creators?
So I would say typically it's anywhere between 24 and 48 hours for the raw content. For me personally, I get everything in within 24 hours. I try to get it in by the next morning, just because I feel like a couple might be laying in bed and like trying to reminisce on the day. They wake up married, and then it's like, your folder came in with all of your raw footage, you know, and they're just laying there like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I like to try to get that to them as quickly as I possibly can so they can have that moment. And then edited video turnaround time is 72 hours. So I typically do 3 edited videos. Sometimes I do more if I edit anything extra for social or anything throughout the year, and I'll go ahead and send that over to them. But I always try to sneak in and edit within 24 hours if I can. So I'm usually trying to favorite things throughout the day.
Yeah, as I say, like, what does this look like? Is this just like a sizzle reel? It's like 30 seconds? Is it various lengths and styles?
Yeah, it can be various lengths. It really just depends on the day. So for example, I had a wedding where there was this insanely beautiful rainbow that came out after the ceremony. And we went and we took content and pictures and all of the things right after. And I was like favoriting everything. And I was like, well, that's the video. Like that's happening tomorrow. So I gotta get stuff right away, sent over right away. And it was like one of the most magic things that I've ever captured.
Oh, that's awesome. What a special moment. In the timeline of choosing your vendors, where does content creator usually fall in? Because I imagine you probably book up super fast and there's only so many days in a year.
It's crazy. So it's either really far out or it's like my wedding's in 2 months and I just found out about you because I was at my friend's wedding and now I'm getting married and I have to have you. So in that case, I have grown a team of 7 and we are able to, I never want to say no to anyone. So I have trained my team and I'm like, okay, we've got this wedding coming up and I brief them on everything and send them out. And then I go through and I edit everything. But it's so crazy how things have, kind of changed because in the beginning, it was very much like, my wedding's in like a week. Can you, I just heard about content creation and I need it. And now it's, I've had some people book me for like a year and a half out, which is insane. I'm so grateful.
Well, it just shows how important the positions become, right? Like in your team of vendors, you've really gone up in the ranks of what's important after a venue, honestly.
Crazy. I never thought.
I'm all for it. I thank you for helping create this because I think it's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. That means so much. I never thought that it would be something, but I knew to me as a bride on my wedding day, I was like, this is the most important thing because this is all I have left after the day is done, are the memories. So, and this gives you a look at the entire day from start to finish. And for me, I really value that. And I know that the couples that are booking me really value that too.
And if you've never been married before, we always say like the day goes by so fast, but if you've never experienced it, you don't really, you can't comprehend it, right? And then once you're in it, you blink.
Yeah. I call
you don't
it
remember
the
eating.
blackout.
You don't remember going to take a pee. Like the day just flies. Like, what did I say did I say my vows correctly? Like, what happened?
Right. I call it the blackout. And it's so funny. I had a friend get married and I was telling her, I was like, you need a wedding content creator. I don't care if you book me. I don't care if you book someone else. You need it. And she was like, I don't really need it though. Like I have, photo, I have video, like I'm fine. And I went to lunch with her after her wedding and she was like, Emily, she was like, it's my number one regret. I can't remember a damn thing from my wedding. She's like, I remember little bits and pieces of it. But she's like you said, she doesn't remember her vows. She doesn't remember half the things that happened because you're just, in like this blissful, beautiful bubble all day long. And yeah.
As you should be, but this is why we stress this, the blackout.
You have the blackout. So the good blackout, not the bad one.
Something you brought up, like pretty much from the start of this conversation, was the blues. And we don't talk about the blues enough. Tell us your experience, because you got kind of hijacked with your brilliant business move, but the blues are real.
The wedding blues are so real. And I experienced them. And I was so lucky that I found this career when I did, because I was like, how do I keep working with weddings or working with my wedding, or I'm never going to talk to my vendors again, probably. Like we were a team for so long and we just had to say goodbye after, it's all there. You're working on it for a year and a half. And then, you wake up the next day and it's done. It's like Cinderella, the pumpkin returns. So,
yes.
And, it's fine, but it just is such a beautiful time in your life. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how fast it goes and how even, quicker it ends. So it's been really nice just to kind of stay in wedding world for a long time. And if anybody is listening and going through the wedding blues, let me tell you something that also helped me besides working in the wedding industry is putting my wedding dress back on and doing another photo shoot.
Oh, so tell us about this.
Yes. So it actually rained on our wedding day and we could not take any photos outside or do any of that. Our whole wedding was indoors, thank goodness. But the pictures were all indoors in yellow lighting. They're still beautiful, but I would have really loved some natural lit photos, ideally. And my wedding photographer, Josie Brooks Photography, killed it. We got married in Florida and she's based in Florida, but was coming to New York for a wedding. And she was like, put your dress back on. Tell your husband to put his tux back on. Let's go run around Central Park and the Upper East Side. And I'm going to take all these incredible photos of you guys. You guys have something outdoors. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was the best because we weren't stressed. We didn't have a whole reception to get to. We could just kind of freely frolic around. If my dress got dirty, who cares, you know?
You probably got all the love from the New Yorkers and tourists coming through the park,
God.
like all the love.
It felt like our wedding day again. Like it was so beautiful and so special and so much fun to experience that and just revisit, you know, the dress and seeing my husband all dressed up. And like, it was the perfect little closure that I needed.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was good.
I love the idea of the photo shoot.
Yeah, why not?
Because so many people do have moments that kind of, I know my friends that got married last year, they got some outdoor photos, but there was a lot they couldn't get because it was raining. And they had some umbrella shots and stuff, but there's like barely any of just the two of them because they were trying to cram everything with the wedding party. And, you know, so most of those are indoors. I'm going to give her that tip later on.
Yeah, I give it to all my couples because, oh my gosh, I have seen so many stressed out couples when it starts to rain and they're losing their minds and they're so upset. And I'm like, hey, here's what you're going to do. You're going to put the dress back on. You're going to take more photos another day. It's going to be fine. I promise. I know it's not today, but like, you're going to get to wear the dress again and it's going to be amazing. And it always kind of, it calms them. And they're like, I didn't even think about that. And I'm like, yeah, girl, you can wear the dress whenever you want. You don't have to put it in a box and put it away. Like, take it out, play dress up in it whenever you want. Go do photo shoots. Like, I started a podcast last year and part of the marketing was the fact that my co-host and I have been brides. We've gone through this. And I was like, let's wear our wedding dresses in some of the shots.
I love it.
It's like you can use it for your marketing one day too. Who knows?
I wore my veil for my first wedding on my previous podcast, Weddings Unveiled with Leah. I was like, I can wear my veil again.
I love that. Yeah, see, you get it. You know.
Yeah. So my boyfriend, Dave, he used to do wedding photography back in the day. And he says one of his favorite things is the trash the dress photos.
Oh, yeah. Those are sick.
Especially if it's water involved. Like, he's like, it just looks so cool and so pretty and artistic. Like, more people should do it.
Yeah. If it wasn't so crazy, because my husband and I got married on the beach, I would have totally done that. If we, you know, if the weather, you know, permitted.
But was it raining and like a different kind of wet? Like,
yeah, it was like raining and windy and awful. And it never rains and is like that in Florida in late November. And of course, that's how it was on our wedding day.
Was it like residual hurricane season?
I guess so. I was like, what is this? It was like 85 and sunny and gorgeous, like the entire week leading up to my wedding. But, you know, it's fine. We have
rain is good luck.
It's good luck. And we have all of these extra beautiful photos now because of it. So,
yeah, I love it. So any last piece of advice for our couples that are looking to book and hire a content creator?
Only piece of advice I have is to just do it. You will never regret having more media coverage on your wedding day. So if you're on the fence, just do it. You'll be so happy you did.
Yeah. You can cut costs elsewhere that you'll never realize like didn't matter in the long run. Things that you think matter now probably don't matter.
That's true. And even if it is, you know, coming from a cost perspective, there are so many price ranges for content creators, and it really is just kind of exploring and figuring out which one fits in your budget. I also do coaching and mentoring for new content creators, and there's a lot of them that are just like happy to have work. So, and are looking for a wedding to build their portfolio. So if that's something that you don't mind giving someone, you know, their first or second or third wedding as they're building their portfolio, there's so many new content creators starting. So I would look into that as well.
Awesome. Okay, it is time for the Fuck It Bucket. Emily, what is in your wedding Fuck It Bucket? What can go?
I know this might be a little controversial, but that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
And I'm taking this from my own wedding, and I want to give this advice to everybody that's listening. I think that saying hi to every single guest, especially if you're having a lot of people at your wedding, you don't have to do. You could say fuck it. The wedding is about
Oh,
you and your partner, and you should be enjoying each other. You should be on the dance floor. You should be, enjoying all of the vendors that you've hired. And of course, say hi to people, but it still is about the two of you, and make sure that you're doing everything together that you want at your wedding. I see it too much where couples are just being pulled in so many different directions that they're not even spending time together on their wedding day.
right.
And I think it's so important to enjoy the day together as much as possible. So
So you
a
don't
little
have to do those
crazy.
table visits one by one?
I don't think so. I think everyone can kind of say hi to you here and there in passing. If you're on the dance floor, everybody's going to be on the dance floor. I say they can say hi to you there.
I love this bucket. I'm tossing it in my bucket as well because it is a lot of
I
time and
love it.
energy. I've been there. It's a lot. And you want to
It
be
is.
gracious, but at the same
Of
time, then you're
course.
not getting to do so many other things.
Of course. It's obviously, take it with a grain of salt. It's definitely all about balance when it comes to that. But I think it's so important for you to make sure that you are enjoying every single minute of that day
Yeah,
with your partner. So,
I like it. Anything else for your fuck it bucket?
um, let's see. Something else I'm taking from my wedding. I said fuck it to a lot of florals. I am such a candle person, and I got my floral quote, and I was like, I literally ripped it up and was like, I looked at my mom and I was like, fuck it, we're doing candles. And she just kind of looked at me and she was like, no. And I was like, okay, we could still have some florals, but I don't need it overdone. I want it to look good enough for the photos, in the ambiance or whatever, but we don't need to go crazy, crazy, crazy. You can still bring in all of these elements of beauty and romance, and you could get really creative with other things. So I know that's kind of controversial, but that is also in my fuck it bucket.
No, I think that's great.
And everything turned out great.
Yeah, I mean, with floral, for example, like you might feel pressure to have like this floral arch, for example, right? Or a
Right.
floral wall for photos. But if it's not actually your jam, if you don't really actually care about it, don't spend the money on it. But if you love it and you're all about it, you've dreamt about this, like you're the secret garden type of, couple, do it, spend the money. But yeah, don't feel the pressure if you don't want to. And candles are rad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, don't ever let anybody pressure you financially into anything, and make sure you have everything that you want for your day. And there's so many different ways to create beauty on the day.
I love that. That's a great quote. There's so many ways to create beauty on the day.
Thank you.
So, final question. What is your all time favorite celebrity or royal wedding?
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. Someone else had asked me, and I was like, what I find myself going back to all the time, and it's kind of like a comfort watch for me. And I'm not above it to say this, but I love watching the Kardashian weddings. Like, I go back and
Oh,
I
okay.
like watching their wedding episodes. I always learn something new. I always like looking back and being like, wow, how did Chloe and Lamar get married in, 9 days or whatever it was? And they
Because they
had
had
this
Sharon Sachs or Mindy Weiss.
Yes, exactly. But it's like amazing to see what was pulled off, like what was purchased, like, because I'm looking at these things and I do weddings like this now. And it's just like, how
Yeah.
the heck did they pull this off? So, and a lot of things from my wedding were inspired from Kim and Kanye's wedding. Like, I tried to get a very similar veil that she had, and the dress and the hair that I had was like very similar. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because I grew up watching them, but I just I love all of the glitz and the glam of their weddings.
Out of all their weddings, do you have a favorite and a least favorite?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think it's just like whatever I'm kind of feeling in the moment. I really like I'm amazed at each one for different reasons. Like I really think that it's amazing that Chloe and Lamar were able to get married in 9 days. I think it's crazy that, Kim and Chris Humphreys like had this insanely gorgeous, very expensive wedding and were divorced 72 days later. It's crazy. And then, Kim and Kanye, like, I think it's crazy that they told everybody they were getting married in Paris and then had everybody flown to Italy literally the morning of their wedding. And it's like, how the heck did they pull that off? Like, it's insane.
I can't imagine those logistics.
I know. It's crazy. And then, like, Courtney and Travis and, like, all of the fun fashion that was incorporated into their wedding. And the fact that she wore this, like, short dress, like, such a vibe.
All Dolce & Gabbana.
Oh, yeah. All Dolce & Gabbana. So good. And so, I don't know. I just like watching it and, seeing all of the creativity that went into everything. And I think it's cool.
You mentioned that you do a lot of weddings like that now. Since you are in the luxury realm, is there something that these more big budget couples prioritize more than most other couples that don't have as large scale of a budget?
I would say everything. I mean, this isn't to say that couples that don't have as big of a budget don't value this, but I feel like everything is very, very intentional when it comes to those bigger budget weddings. So we have like more of a plan, I guess. There's a lot more communication going on, not just between me and the couple, but between me and the other vendors. And it truly is like a team from day one versus, I'm coming in and maybe I'll chat with the photo video team maybe a week or two out. Everything is planned. There might be a media rollout. There might be an NDA and maybe the content never makes it to see the light of day. And so everything is just done like just so. So I think that's really interesting.
Much more of a production?
Yes, it can be. Sometimes it's not, but a lot of the times it's much more of a production. And then also to just like being very discreet with things. So more so like blending in and, I like to say no matter what budget wedding I'm working, I give the same service no matter what. And I like to give that like Disney World magic, yes, anything is possible type of feel with all of my clients. And I would say that's something that maybe more big budget clients are expecting. But it's really great when lower budget clients get that as well.
That's great. Well, I love seeing all of your content on your Instagram page, and let's encourage everyone to go check it out. How can we find more about you and your company?
So you can find me at Wedding Day Content Creator on Instagram, TikTok. My website is weddingdaycontentcreator.com. Super easy to find me.
Love it. Emily, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all this great advice. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.